UFC 228 preview show with Brendan Dorman. We have all the big MMA news, talking points with Jim Edwards, and we'll be talking with author of Before a Fall, Pride FC history, Lee Daly.
This is Darren Till. Tune in to Obviously Fight Talk.
Yep, thanks Darren. Welcome along to Obviously Fight Talk episode 119. We are back in studio, none of this bedroom talking.
Kitchen
Rob,
talking.
It's good to be back.
Kitchen talking. Thanks, man. It's good to be back.
Before we go into the rundown and what we have, subscribe now if you haven't already. Do it now. If you like our live chats, you like this even better because I'm a regular fixture in this, not like that Jason MMA point guy or Brendan Dorman. Yeah, this is the studio show, so this is the fancy surrounding studio. But yeah, subscribe, sub, do all that, share it. It really helps. It's really
helps.
only me and Rob pushing stuff out, and we're starting to get listeners now who are really sharing, especially the live chat people. Are really sharing stuff, so we appreciate it. We really do. But if you want to just listen to us rather than looking at us as you think we're horrendous to look at, you can listen to us at iTunes or Podcast Republic. We're featured there as well. Spotify. We're everywhere. Sub everywhere. Share. Tell your friends. Tell your granny. Tell your sister. Tell your dog, because dogs even like it, Rob.
We have one of our biggest demographics is dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, dogs, mate. You like dogs.
Yeah.
The rundown this week, we're going to be doing the big MMA news stories with Jim Edwards. Who's Jim Edwards? Some might say, if you're an MMA fan, I don't know why you're saying that. Jim is one of the top journalists out of the UK. You will have probably watched live streams. Any press conference you watch, Jim gets the mic and asks questions. You'll recognise him as soon as you see him. You may have read his work. He writes for many a place as well. We will then be talking, this is an interesting one, we'll be talking with Lee Daly. Who's Lee Daly, you ask? Lee Daly is the author of Before a Fall. It's the first book in English of the history of Pride FC. So this is one that a real MMA purist will enjoy. Pride, it's historic, it has tales of legend, that has all that sort of stuff. So we'll be talking a little bit about Lee, about the book, how he came about writing it, how to get the book more importantly, and be a good stocking filler, Rob, for Christmas. Good stocking filler. And then, of course, I think there's a couple of fights this weekend. We got UFC 228, Woodley, Till. There's only one person you want on to break it down. He wasn't available, so we got Brendan Dorman. We're not saying he's the best. We're just saying there's nobody better. But let's dive into the big news stories this week, Rob, with Jim Edwards. Waste no time. No clock this week. It's extended.
Let's do it.
Jim Edwards. So welcome back to Obviously Fight Talk, and we are now joined by one of the leading journalists in the UK, a man who I've watched many a live weigh-in on his Instagram, Jim Edwards joined us. So Jim, finally we've got you on the show after agreeing to have you on the show about a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah, no, it's great to be making my Obviously Fight Talk debut. It's been a while coming, and it's been plenty of weigh-ins, and there's going to be a very important one coming on Friday. So I'm glad to be speaking to you guys.
I think we'll start there, actually.
What a professional.
What a segue. Let us segue straight in. Obviously, Darren Till fighting this weekend, taking on Tyron Woodley for the UFC title. Just in the sense of, we can talk about the fight in a minute, but how big is this for UK MMA?
Yeah, interesting question. I think I think it's gone a bit under the radar. I don't think everyone here in the UK, especially sponsors, brands, television companies, are totally sold on Darren. He's quite difficult to market in the way that he speaks, and in the way that he's pretty much no filter. So I wouldn't say he's quite a mainstream star over here. Maybe if he wins the title on Saturday, then that will change. But it's not as if I don't feel like it's as if the whole country's got behind him, sort of thing. I don't think the whole of the UK is going to be watching on Saturday night. I think it's very much a case of, if he wins, then obviously that will get a lot of attention. But it's funny you ask that. I think his star could explode on Saturday if that happens. But I'm not going to put the wall over anyone's eyes. I wouldn't say he's like McGregor was before he fought Aldo for the world title. It's night and day between that.
Do you think that the fact that not everybody is behind him in the UK, or at least I suppose the whole country, is that because of the state of MMA in the UK, or is it more so just Darren Till as a personality?
I think it's a bit of both, and I think it's worth noting that I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this, but I don't think Darren gives a fuck either of really what anyone says. So it's not as if he's doing his own thing, man, and he's on the charge doing it his way. Whether people like that way or not is one thing, but it's probably not mainstream media friendly in the way he goes about himself or he presents himself. So, but yeah, I mean, UK MMA is also struggling a bit at the moment. Like, we just had a Great Cage Warriors event, but that aside, we've seen ACB shows fall out. We've had BAMMA hitting the rails, and I think a lot of the UK fans have kind of been a bit disenchanted, I guess, with some of the events that even the UFC have been bringing recently. So I think we're struggling in that sense. But again, like I said, if Darren goes and wins this title on Saturday, I think this could all change very, very quickly.
In some ways, it always seems to happen as well, Jim, when Darren's talked about that, he gets Conor McGregor comes into the conversation. But you mentioned, he doesn't have maybe the same star power that Conor does. I don't think anyone else in the world does. But there was something over here I was reading during the week about how the opinion of Conor McGregor has somewhat changed in the mainstream here in Ireland because of his antics outside of the octagon. So he's almost was revered as this incredible athlete, and he still is by sports fans. But in a way, this is an opportunity for Till to say, people will put up more with the outside, the likes of the brassness, the cursing, etc. They'll put up with that when he has the UFC gold around his waist. Would that be a fair comment, do you think?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think a lot of the people that have just, I guess, come across Darren don't understand. I think the way that he is, or the way he presents himself, it's Scousers are very unique people, and I think unless you've come across them previously, you're not really sure how to take them. I think the perfect example was the way that it got totally blown out of the water, the way that he was talking about how he wasn't paying attention to his wife, his girlfriend and his child and his mother-to-be, like as he's preparing for a fight. And I think, people just don't understand that. That's the way Darren is, and what was the funniest thing was I was there in LA once that interview is going ahead, and the mother-to-be for his child is actually sitting about 2 foot away from him, laughing to herself. She's there with him. It's she knows. It's just people don't quite understand the way Darren is right now. I think once his star explodes, they'll understand him a bit better, and I think he'll be widely more accepted. That's
something we actually had Darren on a couple of days after that interview, and you sort of said it, you just think he missed a few words in his comments where at this moment might have been added into it. Yeah. But again, for me, in this age of MMA, Jim, I know you've been watching MMA for a long time. You're an absolute purist from back in the day when it wasn't cool to be. But, I think Darren's approach is an old school approach. It's not this WWE, saying stuff to say stuff. Like his address of what that guy, Logan Paul, whatever the way Darren came out was like, this is fucking hard work. Every fucking day is a grind. And that sort of was addressing that as well, that this isn't a fucking game. And I think in a way, older school fans appreciate that more. Like, I appreciate Darren Till's approach a lot more. Now, I enjoy the likes of Chael Sonnen, like his tweet today or last night to John Jones. I like that aspect of it. But I think a lot of these fighters nowadays are trying to do that, like the McGregor sort of, or Chael Sonnen trash talker. So I think in a way, Darren Till's mentality is a throwback to the older. He's a pure fighter, and he does his talking, be it his brassness in an interview, but he does his main talking in the cage when the cage door closes. Is that not what we want from our fighters?
Yeah, for sure. I think it feels a bit more real, feels a lot more authentic. But the reason Darren's like that is because he comes from an old school gym, Team Carbon. Colin Heron runs that gym in kind of regiment fashion. I think if anyone acted the way that perhaps, let's say Colby Covington is a great example, like kind of going down that shtick route, I don't think Colin would ever have allowed that into the gym. And I think that's why Darren has been raised the way that he is, and he acts the way that he does. He's no filter, but he's just Darren Till to the core. So I think, but I think in a way that helps people gravitate towards him, because he's a bit verges on kind of the Diaz brothers kind of thing, that he's himself, and he's unapologetically himself as well. And I think when you're real recognizes real, and that's why fans kind of are gravitating towards him, even if there's been a few bumps in the road of late.
Before we move on, does he make weight? It seems to be the $1 million question right now before the weigh-ins.
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question. Everyone asks me millions of times a day because obviously I talk to the camp and know how things are going down. I think so there's can I promise you he's going to make weight, or can he promise us he's going to make weight? No, I don't think he can. I think there's two aspects to this. Is Darren Till doing absolutely everything in his power to hit 170 pounds on Friday? 100%. Yeah, I'm very confident in saying that, having been with him in Vegas, seeing the camp that they put together. He's working out every day as if his life depends on it. This coming Saturday, he's got himself a nutritionist. It's literally a military boot camp for the poor guy, and it's driving him insane. But so there's that aspect. He's doing everything he can, but then there's the kind of second aspect, which I'm sure all of us as I'm 31-year-old bloke sitting here saying that our bodies change as we kind of hit 25 plus, and whether he can actually physically still make 170 pounds is actually the question, not whether Darren is going to try to make 170 pounds. This is a very, very different question. It's can he physically make 170 pounds, and I'm not too sure. We'll see on Friday.
As you said, you've been around Darren for a long time in a lot of his camps as well. Have you noticed, for me looking outside in, the intensity just seems different? He's always had the confidence and self-belief. He talks about it. He will tell you openly that he's the greatest fighter on the planet, and he's going to showcase that. But do you notice just a difference in his mentality, in the way he's behaving? Is there a difference in Darren Till between now and, for example, when he fought Nicholas Dalby?
I don't think it's a change of mentality. I think it's chaos surrounds Darren wherever he goes. It seems like he's never a dull moment in the life of Darren Till. So I think what we saw in Liverpool was perhaps he's talked about it. He's talked about it a bit, where he says the circumstances surrounding him that weekend weren't good in his personal life. And, to his credit and to his great credit, he's never really gone out and talked at great length about what that was. But as someone that knows him and kind of knows what was surrounding him, I can confirm that was true. So it's not an excuse. He didn't even use it as an excuse. But this camp, when I arrived in Vegas the other weekend, it was... There was a different, it was like no distractions, press don't get in the way. It was being run like it was a military boot camp. I was lucky to be still allowed to be still in the gym, even though Darren and the team said I could be there. It's like that strict. They're all focused on one goal. There's 12 of them from Team Carbon out there under the instruction of Mr. Heron, and it's being run like a military boot camp. So that's why I'm saying I'm so confident in the fact that he's going to do everything in his power to make that weight, because it's a serious game. It's a serious time. It's world title fight time.
Am I going to be the guy to push you to the do we hear and new or still?
I don't think I'm probably the best guy to comment on that, to be quite honest with you. I think as press, sometimes you to get some of the exclusive interviews you want and the access you want, you do come closer to some other people. Do I think Darren Till's got the ability to beat Tyron Woodley on Saturday night? 100% I do. I think Tyron Woodley's never faced anyone like Darren Till. At the same time, I don't think Darren Till's ever fought anyone at the level of the standard of Tyron Woodley. He's the champion for a reason. He's defended that belt several times against world-class fighters over the last 3 years, and it's going to be the toughest fight of his life. We'll see. I think actually it's almost silly for anyone to predict this fight before we see them weigh in on Friday as well. That for me is when, if you're putting any money on this fight, don't lay $1 until you see the weigh-in. So I'm gonna deflect that. I'll let the other people who are the fight analysts and who are more kind of into the kind of technical breakdowns. I know Dan Hardy's just done an extremely good one, so go to him for that. I'll just be there reporting it live and making sure you guys are in the know as soon as stuff goes down.
Brilliantly avoided. Should be a politician. But one thing you were in attendance at was Cage Warriors 96. So we were talking about British UK and British UK MMA. And the state it's in. Paddy Pimblett was going for his second title shot in a lightweight title against Soren Bak, and after about 35 to 40 seconds it looked like Paddy Pimblett was going to be crowned champion. How Soren Bak escaped that choke. Beautiful transition by Paddy Pimblett to get the back and get the choke. watching the remainder of the fight, and I have to say, for me, I thought Soren Bak took the fight over midway through round 2. And I found it very difficult to give Paddy any rounds after round 1. I thought it was the right decision that Soren Bak got it. But how big of an effect is this on Paddy Pimblett? I know there was a lot of talk of UFC. Paddy was on Ariel's show previously in the MMA era when he was still there, and he talked about he doesn't need to go to the UFC. It looks in hindsight now that it's a great decision that he might have went too early. But how big of a knock in the career of Paddy Pimblett is this defeat on Saturday before we talk about Soren Bak? How big is this for Paddy Pimblett?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a bump in the road, as they say, but this is where you get to know kind of the true strength of these people. Look, I think with Paddy, he's so young at the moment. We always forget that just because we've seen him for so long, like since it's pretty much basically a kid fighting in the cage. And we forget how young he is and that he's still got so much time for development. And he's got what 2 losses on his record now. That's not a career. That's by no means a career-ending loss. He lost to a very good fighter in Soren Bak on Saturday, and it's a game of inches, this, because we are perhaps seconds away from talking about Paddy Pimblett as the next big thing. Definitely signing for the UFC. It was ridiculously close. I have no idea what Soren Bak's neck is made of and how he kind of escaped that predicament. I was sitting cage side, literally right next to Dan Hardy, who was pretty much talking me through the choke the whole way, and he's like, he just didn't understand how Soren Bak was still conscious and B able to get out of it. It was it was a very close fight. I don't think this is the end for Paddy. I think there are several fights. I was talking to someone about it today. There's the likes of Martin Stapleton, Alexander Jakobsen, also fighting in Cage Warriors, who I think would be good opponents. That a win there, Soren will probably vacate the belt. A win against either of those two then puts him in another title fight for me. So by no means the end for Paddy Pimblett. It won't be the last we hear of him. That's for sure.
Do you think it takes a hit to his popularity though, because he went in there and his build-up has been he's this guy who doesn't really look like a fighter, but he won all these fights. Now he has a couple of losses on his record, and obviously that one where it was a bit close and he got the decision. But do you think it takes a hit on his popularity at all, or do you think just Liverpool just love him and it won't really affect that?
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything you know about Scousers, is they always back their own. At the end of the day, it's like a mini tribe. I always feel very, very jealous when I go to Liverpool and when I leave there. Just I think I wrote a piece on how Team Carbon are just together. There's nothing like it. When you're a Scouser, when you're not a Scouser, you certainly want to be part of it, because it is they continue to back their own. Will it dent his popularity in I guess the wider circle outside of Liverpool? Yeah, it'll probably get a bit of flack, but we all know this game. It takes one flying triangle, one incredible knockout, and suddenly everyone's back on the bandwagon. So, it's a small setback, I think, in the grand scheme of things.
And one thing I know is about the fight as well, and it happens. Obviously, Cage Warriors, Paddy was a champion for them at featherweight, and he looked at being the first fighter to become a 2-weight champion since Conor McGregor with the promotion as well. So they put a lot of backing into Paddy Pimblett as well. But Soren Bak, like, to talk about, I was sitting at home watching it, and I was actually tweeting for OFT as I was watching it. But I just thought his walkout, talk about silence in a crowd. Like, the Echo Arena is, like, they go absolutely insane for Paddy Pimblett. But when the Vikings tune came on, the place went silent, and it was...
No, it's because it was cool.
It was,
it was quite a cool scene, to be quite honest with you. It's not like your random techno track, which is boo to the kind of rafters. It was it was quite cool. I'll be honest with you. He walked out carrying some random ass acts and a couple of about 20 to 40 mad Danish fans in the corner making a good amount of noise. It was
you will not raid alone.
It was a good scene.
Yeah.
You are not raid alone. A little talk to you'll never walk alone. You'll not raid alone. I thought that was excellent. But yeah, like Soren Bak, as much as what I found about this was everybody was talking about Paddy Pimblett, but I think you have to talk about Soren Bak. What he done in rounds 3, 4, and 5. Like the one thing I always have a problem. I don't know how you feel about this, but I have a problem when somebody just wins in one promotion, and it's not that it's disrespectful, but they're talking about the UFC. be happy where you are at that moment. You've just been crowned a Cage Warriors champions, which is a very sought after title. It is an excellent platform and road to the UFC, as I think there's been 88 fighters from Cage Warriors signed to the UFC. But for me, I'd like Soren Bak to just go, yeah, brilliant win, thanks very much, Liverpool, you've been beautiful. He sort of done that, but then he's like, the only phone call I'm answering is the Dana White. How do you feel about calling for that? Do you think fighters need to do that? For me, I think disrespectful is too harsh of a word, because I do think Cage Warriors play off.
I do get where you're going. We've seen so many Cage Warriors champions just literally win the belt and then move on, and that in itself isn't great for Cage Warriors a lot of the time, because you don't get those established faces staying around, and you lose ticket sellers. Nathaniel Wood being a fine example. Obviously, Jack Shaw could be the next guy as well. Like, he's going to literally win the belt and he could be off. Maybe Soren Bak's going to be the next, who knows? But I do get it. But at the end of the day, I think Cage Warriors are very aware of that kind of stepping stone. I think we all know there's a business model behind it, I think, and maybe not for Soren Bak. So this is where we get to see what Cage Warriors are made of. Are they? Is this a business model, or is this actually a fight league? And we'll see. We'll see what happens to Soren Bak. I think the UFC desperately need stars from that region, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the call very soon.
A report come out, and I know you're on the clock, so we'll just get your quick thoughts. And there's a report come out that BJ Penn might be making a return to the UFC, apparently against Ryan Hall, who hasn't fought in a long time either, a grappler. Do you want to see BJ Penn back, or do you think that maybe he should hang up the gloves?
I think we all just want to see him hang up the gloves now, to be quite honest, especially that have there's not a percentage of me that really wants to see him fight Ryan Hall either, to be quite honest with you. I think Ryan Hall's an incredible jiu-jitsu player, but at the end of the day, I just got no interest in seeing him fight a very old now looking BJ Penn, who we all love, who we all treasure. He's a Hall of Famer. We just want to I get it. I speak to fighters all the time. It's very hard to let go, but at the end of the day, when your time comes, and this is kind of where you see whether your friends are your friends. And I think, Dana White, we can always talk about the bad things he does, and he certainly does a lot of them. But when it came to Chuck Liddell, he was the guy that put the foot down and said, I don't want to see my friend fight again. And that's when he could have made millions and millions and millions off more Chuck Liddell fights, but he put his foot down. I'd love to see a similar thing with BJ Penn here. I don't want to see him fight again. I think he was over the hill an incredible amount of years ago. We've seen it all. We don't need to see it again. Let's find something else for BJ Penn to get his highs off, because I just don't need to see him in the octagon.
Agreed. Great. Last thing before I let you go and bring that good lady of yours out for dinner. Bellator are rumoured to be returning to Dublin in December. The event's meant to be taking place, from what I hear, in the City West Conference Centre. The thing about this is BAMMA are scheduled to hold an event that same weekend in Dublin's Tree Arena. This news comes after Bellator have signed a lot of fighters under the nose of BAMMA. So what does this mean for the British promotion? What did you think of the news? I don't know if you, again, I'm just putting this on you. But Bellator coming here 2 days apparently before BAMMA. It's not a big thing for BAMMA. There seems to be a bit of a pissing contest, to put it some ways, at the moment between the two promotions who did work together previously.
I thought they were best friends.
Yeah.
Obviously not. There's a lot of I think we all know what's going on behind the scenes at the moment. The likes of Aaron Chalmers and obviously people changing, jobs within one promotion to another. It's a bit of a turf warfare at the moment. I'm not surprised in the slightest. I think there's only ever going to be one winner. If I'm BAMMA, I cut my losses on a lot of things I just mentioned. Aaron Chalmers being one of them. Holding shows 2 days before. I don't think there's any shame. I don't think any of us are going to think anything less of BAMMA if they move that show. At the end of the day, it kind of makes Bellator look bad. They shouldn't be bullying a regional promotion to that kind of level. They've got more money. We know they do. We know they're a better promotion. We know they put on better shows. If anything, I think it kind of harms signing all these guys up to exclusive fight contracts as well. I think part of me thinks it's great because a lot of them are getting more money, but I do question the amount of fights they're going to get. It would be great, sign them to a contract. Yeah, great, but also let them fight on BAMMA. Let them fight on Cage Warriors. It's taking a step back from it all from a few weeks ago when it all got announced. I was a bit disappointed to hear that a lot of them are exclusive contracts. And okay, again, let's give it a chance. Let's see what happens. Let's see how many fight shows they put on. But at the end of the day, it's a slight concern for me anyway. That's how I feel about it.
And when you look at BAMMA, BAMMA had created a huge market here in Dublin. They'd come, and each time they'd come, there was good attendances at the show. They then joined with Bellator, and it was seen as a good thing. We were there covering it as well, speaking through it. So, like, with this going forward, I know it looks bad for Bellator, but if it was to play out the way it does, how bad is this? Could this potentially, worst case scenario, be writing on the wall for BAMMA in Ireland anyway?
Yeah, it could be, but they have good links in Ireland, unlike the likes of Cage Warriors and stuff. And they were able to put on shows quite consistently. I don't think it'd be curtains. We may see a slight lack of activity in Ireland for a while now, whilst Bellator do their thing and then get bored of it and probably move on to something else. But BAMMA are in a bad position at the moment. They've got more to worry about than just one single region. They've got to rebuild. They've got to find talent. They've got to have a strategy. Whilst I'm very confident of what I know, what Cage Warriors are trying to do, I have no idea what BAMMA are trying to do at the moment. I really don't.
Yeah, in some ways, it's great that BAMMA are going to come to our Bellator are come to the region, but at the same time, BAMMA had brought so much to Irish MMA as well that it's different.
Bellator stand.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your time. You're travelling. When are you travelling out? You're flying out to the fight, I presume?
Wednesday morning, Dallas. I'm coming. It's gonna be a great time. Looking forward to it. I can't wait to get down on the ground. As you said, guys, it's gonna be a pretty crazy week. We could have our second ever UK champion, which will be great for the sport in this country, and hopefully I'll be on the front lines giving everyone the action. So I look forward to it. So thanks for having me on tonight.
Where can everybody follow your work?
Yeah, so they can, especially Instagram, because that's where I watch
MMA_gym everywhere.
Excellent.
Easy.
That's where I watch it. I thought the best one was the weigh-ins that went on forever, and you were literally just filming a door, and you had to keep ending the stream because it was running for so long that you had to end it.
That's now a permanent fixture. The Instagram live streams for the weigh-ins, they seem to go down well, so people seem to enjoy them. So I'll be doing them from Friday. I'm sure it would be a lot of people watching that one because there's big stakes on the line. So make sure you guys tune in.
Keep up the great work, man. Safe travels. Enjoy the fights, and we'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it, guys.
Cheers, man. Thank you. So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, and this is one for you MMA purists. If you watch this show on a regular basis, you will see we have a Pride t-shirt hanging behind us. We're quite proud of that. Terrible gag, may as well. We're now joined by an Irishman who is writing a book called Before a Fall, and this is the first book in English, and it's about the history of Pride FC. So Lee Daly, welcome along to obviously Fight Talk, my man.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate having me on.
So Lee, this is something Rob came across as well, I have to be honest, first, and he's looking at it. So first question, with it, writing a book around mixed martial arts, why was it Pride FC? Why did you decide to look at the history of Pride?
Well, I guess Pride means a lot to me personally. It was kind of my first real experience of watching MMA. I came across it in 2001 at a time when, I don't know if you guys remember then, but it was quite hard to kind of watch any real UFC content in Ireland, and the UFC itself kind of that would have been the very early Zuffa days. It wasn't that high in terms of popularity or exposure anyway either, and Pride would have been the premier mixed martial arts promotion in the world. So in terms of, keeping my interest in mixed martial arts, and it defines a lot of my life now. I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because of my interest in mixed martial arts. I've travelled, to watch shows and kept an eye on the sport now for an awful long time. And it all started for me with Pride. I think there's a lot of other people out there who were the same. And, I like to read books on mixed martial arts. I think it's an area that's slightly underdeveloped. I think other sports are a bit more better served with books. And when it came to Pride, it was really interesting to me that there was nothing in English, and for years that kept being that way. And at a certain point, I've done some sports writing before for the Irish Times and for a few other outlets. And I just said to myself, well, I might as well just try to tackle this myself. And that's really what started the journey. And it's about 2 years ago now that I started it. And that's why we now have the book, which will be coming out in early October, late September.
How long would you say you've been thinking about writing this book as well? Like, obviously, it's been a 2-year process writing it, but when was the first time you said to yourself, maybe I should just write this book that I think that should exist, maybe I should do it? When was that?
Gosh, I couldn't even tell you. I think it was maybe even 5-6 years ago, I think, and look, I mean, I had a full-time job within the tech industry, so I didn't have time to necessarily dedicate to it. But when I left my job for sort of unrelated reasons, because I was doing a career change anyway, I sort of decided to give myself the time to actually write it, and went out and did it. And that's kind of really the genesis of it, and it took a long time to get it together. On the other hand, once you start working on it intensively enough, these things do start to come together. But it did take quite a while for me to actually kind of set aside the time and just sit down at a computer and actually go to it.
And how, that's what my question would be, and such a mammoth ask, because Pride, big history. Where do you start? Like, what's the first line you write in this book? Like, where do you start with such a historic story?
I mean, yeah, look, that was the real challenge of the book. It wasn't in writing it or in getting facts or anything else, really. It was just in how you structure something like this, because I think the temptation with these things is to fall into a very sort of formulaic approach, which is, to kind of go chronologically and kind of go, well, this show happened, and then this show happened, and then this show happened. And I really didn't want to do that. I did want to make a history, make an actual history of the promotion, and the key part there is story, and to tell a story. And for me, there was some obvious narratives which jumped out, and ones that I wanted to approach. Some of those, obviously, you come out the other side after you've done the research and after you've done the writing, and they're not as neat and as compact as you think they were when you started. But, that for me was really what I wanted to do. And if you look at the book, I'm quite proud of basing it around personalities, moments, ideas, movements, fighting styles, rather than doing it in too much of a chronological order, And I think, obviously, it does progress through time, where it does start from before the actual first Pride and goes into a bit of background behind, particularly the backgrounds of Takada and Hicks and Gracie, who were the two fighters that were kind of founded Pride. But it kind of does go into detail around that, and that was very deliberate, because I wanted to tell and have quite a comprehensive history of the promotion overall. And I think listing off events wouldn't have really done that. So yeah, that's kind of where I started from, and that's kind of what the whole concept behind the book is. It's not just about facts and figures, but it is about stories as well.
The one thing with Pride as well, I would imagine it's because there's no literature really about it in English as in a book of its history. So a lot of the stories in Pride are now of legend.
Like folklore. Yeah,
there really are. Like between, I know, I just watched the quick YouTube video you had around the people you've interviewed, and we're looking up. We had Stephen Quattros on the show previously, and there was a long myth of Stephen Quattros being in a bar fight in the bathroom with Joe Rogan, and like these are what are some of the stories, like the legend stories that you came across, and we don't have to reveal if they're not true, but I'm sure you came across a lot of very interesting and perhaps funny stories, and probably tragic too.
Well, one of the ones that I kind of thought, which has been gotten out there a little bit, but I did manage to get what I think is a bit more of an extra detail, is the fight between Mark Coleman and Nobuhiko Takada, which is probably more than likely a worked fight. It's not actually a real fight. And Coleman said at various points he somewhat admitted it and has retracted it, but Bas Rutten actually said that there was a fax sent to all the gyms that were taking part or had fighters participating in the card, where it actually said this will be a fake match, basically, like a wrestling match. So, the fact that they committed it to paper, I think, is the first time that's sort of been put on public record. There was a few other kind of fun stories. Like there was one from Eric Paulson. Eric Paulson was one of the early sort of lights in the Shudo promotion, which was a forerunner of Pride, and he also more recently was a trainer of Brock Lesnar as well. But he told a good story about how, basically, the difference between Hoist and Hickson Gracie in training. Like Hickson was very established as a fighter and very calm and laid back. And Hoist, even though he was a laid back guy in training, was very, was very intense. And when he would get a choke on you, kind of wouldn't let it go, until you tapped, until he kind of showed you definitely he was boss. So a lot of like interesting things like that along the way, I think. And look, others, I'm afraid you'll just have to get the book, which you can do at beforeafallbook.com to find it out.
You obviously have the Indiegogo running. We'll give that a plug at the end of the interview, but you mentioned a couple of the guys that you actually interviewed for the book. You mentioned Bas Rutten, Stephen Quattros, Eric Paulson. Was there one guy that you interviewed and you thought, man, that was a really, really good interview? That one was like a bucket list type interview.
Yeah, I think Bass, you know, I mean, he's one of these guys where, you know, you have a perception of him as this kind of really like, you know, happy-go-lucky kind of enthusiastic, you know, Dutch guy, and that's exactly who he is, you know, and he was so willing to give up his time, and he gave like a really long interview, and you know, was very straightforward with his answers, you know, where he didn't know, he'd say, I don't know, you know, that was it, you know. It was just like it was real bucket list for me, because obviously he's a guy who, you know, I admire and I think is a bit of a legend. But also as well, just in terms of the actual information he was kind of putting forward. And again, you know, one thing I wanted to do with the book is, because there is some good interviews and some good materials out there already on Pride. They're largely kind of good pieces up on websites. I wanted to kind of read through those and ask different questions, or ask a bit different aspects. And yeah, that was something I kind of managed to do with Bass and with a few others as well, you know.
Is there anything that MMA is missing that Pride had? Obviously, there was completely different rules, and there is some promotions, especially in Japan, that still use some of those rules and stuff. But is there something about Pride, the ethos of Pride, that you think that MMA might be missing a little bit now?
Yeah, like I think the production values are a big one, you know. Like if you look at how the UFC promotes fights, like the entrances are all very sparse, and they're always sort of quite similar in the same. I think if you looked at like some exceptions, like the Chad Mendes Conor McGregor fight, where, you know, Sinead O'Connor was singing for Conor, and some country music star, I couldn't tell you who it is, or were singing for Chad Mendes. I think that was pretty cool, and that was something that I think Pride was very good at, was kind of everything around the fights, you know, having a really good production. There's a good quote from Renzo Gracie, which said that he once brought these guys who he worked with in Brazil, who actually like filmed the World Cup, and they were blown away by the production of Pride, you know. So just that element, I think maybe kind of needs to be introduced a little bit more. You spoke about the rules, and I think that's another thing that's changed or is missing a little bit. You know, we have the universal rule set, which certainly in the West is pretty much almost forgive the pun, universally adhered to. But one thing I think that is interesting in Pride, and I wouldn't advocate for the return of stomps or soccer kicks or other stuff like that, which I think they are unnecessarily damaging and not good for fighters. But one thing I think that might be interesting is perhaps the return of longer rounds, you know, on the basis that when the reason why Hickson asked for those and the reason why they existed in Pride initially was to give grapplers more time to work, and to give kind of fighters more time to get tired. If you look at it now, like I think submissions are becoming a bit of a lost art within MMA, certainly at the elite level of the UFC, and part of the reason for that is because it's 5 minutes a round. Everybody knows what the submissions are. Guys are quite sweaty, so it actually takes a long time to actually work and to tire somebody out as a grappler, and that's an art in and of itself. Now, you know, obviously there's some people who don't like that, and there is an entertainment aspect to that too. But I think that's a thing that we've lost a little bit in mixed martial arts, is the genuine clash of styles between guys who, you know, one of them is a good grappler and the other is a good striker. And I think for me, you know, that's something that sort of maybe should be looked at being brought back, even if only for one-off events or that kind of thing.
Did you find after doing, because I'm sure you watched hours of tape and stuff as well, but did you find when you came to the end of the project that you've almost lost a family member? Like, do you know, were you a little bit in grief, as in it's been so long now since there was a Pride, so is that little bit of loss there when you finished the project, that I was like, I'm sure you enjoyed it, I'm sure it was frustrating at times, but the fact that it's done and dusted now, are you a little at loss that, you know, Pride is no longer anymore?
I mean, you know, yes and no. I think it's very nice to look back on it and put these things in their historical perspective, you know. But the other thing to say is, from a backstage and from a kind of an in-ring perspective, Pride probably wasn't long for this world anyway. You know, it really wasn't run in a sustainable way. They didn't have a business model that would work. The UFC managed to find one that was much different to Pride, and they became very successful based off that. But whether it's just stuff like the fighter safety stuff that we've just talked about, whether it was the crazy mismatches, whether it was the fact that, you know, the promotion, and it's detailed in the book, and I don't think everybody's going to really ever know the full story, but the fact that it was linked, or supposedly linked with some Yakuza interests, other stuff like that, where it was just really a bizarre and crazy and strange thing. You know, it couldn't really have kept going, you know. One thing I was asked actually in a recent interview would be, you know, isn't it an idea to maybe for the UFC to bring it back as a brand? Now, I don't think they'd ever do that for a number of reasons, but it is something maybe that they should look at, and that I think would be interesting, would be, you know, having a ring, having 10-minute rounds, having these things like that. So, Yeah, for me, no sense of mourning. There's a Shakespeare quote about it's better having loved and lost than to have never loved at all. But it's something that I think we can look back on now and put it in its proper historical context and still enjoy it, because the content is there, the fights are there, and those can be rewatched.
I think there's different promotions almost use the great things of Pride. Like you're talking about the ring, like you've Ryzen uses the white ring with the white ropes. Then you've KSW. I don't know, like me and Rob attended KSW here in Dublin. I don't know, were you at that, Lee?
I wasn't, but I am going to the show in October, yeah.
It's like I said to Rob as the opening ceremony was happening, I was like, I feel like I am at Pride. Right now, it was like they had the fighters up, like Chris Fields, God bless him, Chris Fields is like 6'4", and they had him in like a little box doing shadow boxing and stuff like on this. But it was Pride-esque, it really was.
Yeah.
There was bits of it, like the MC with the mic and, KSW. It was really Pride-esque. And then, I can't remember who it was, had Pride Lady at one stage calling
I think Dream might have had
Was
Pride
it
Lady.
Dream?
Might have, yeah. Maybe Ryzen as well.
Ryzen, she's been in Dream and she's in Ryzen now as well,
yeah. I badly missed. I think she'd add to it. And the likes of Mauro Ranallo and stuff, and Bass calling the fight, Stephen Quattros, it brings back that
the entertainment as well. They done the little skits and stuff. I think MMA is missing that a little bit.
I do. I think it I know we always talk about the modern fighter now and all the trash talking, but I like the prank, and I was only talking before we start recording and speaking with yourself, Lee. It was when Crow Cop absolutely punked Mauro backstage about how unhappy he was when he could see the genuine fear in Mauro Ranallo backstage, while Bass Rutten and Crow Cop are absolutely laughing their ass off at this. But there was little segments like that, and Bass and Stephen Quattros, all their little gimmicks and stuff. It was great. It was entertainment. And then you look at some of the shows, like the size of the arenas that they had these shows in. It is missed. For anyone, let's let them know how can they help with the book. What can they do to get this?
So the website to go to is beforeafallbook.com, and there you can get an exclusive limited edition version of the book. It's an all-Irish production. Myself and the illustrator John Sheehan are both Irish, and actually the guy who's even doing the layout, Eamon Dalton, is Irish as well. So you will be supporting the Irish in that sense. But the thing is to say is that it does end on Friday, so it's going to end late Friday, early Saturday morning. So I don't actually get to keep any money unless I hit my target. So if people could go up there and support it, and we've got some great rewards. You can get the ebook for €10. You can get the physical copy for 20, and it goes on up from there. And we've got some other cool rewards too. So yeah, if people could go check it out, give what they can. And that would really, really help us out, the book will be on general release in late September, but that will be with a different cover. And once the Indiegogo cover is gone, it's gone. We're not going to do any more copies of it. So if people could skedaddle over to beforeafallbook.com, contribute there, and then also follow us on social media at beforeafallbook on Twitter, and beforeafallbook, all one word, on Facebook as well.
Yeah. And there you go. And I know this sounds silly, but anyone listening to it as well, Christmas, this would be perfect. I feel like Ryan Tuberty here on the Toy Show. The way he always plugs. It's good to have literature, but this
it's only a few months away.
As an MMA fan, this is something that should belong on your bookshelf.
Yeah, I'll be going buying one.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm really looking forward to reading it. It's going to be weird. I'm going to say thank you for writing it, even though I haven't read it. But thank you for writing it, because it's something that I think any MMA fan, to know where a sport is, you have to know where it comes from, and Pride FC is a huge part of that. So I hope to God everyone jumps on this and get it. And it's a good stocking filler, as Tuberty would say.
Stocking filler, yeah.
Yep, thanks guys. We've got a good picture of Wanderlei Silva actually dressed as Santa Claus. So I tweeted that out there, because you are right. I think it is something that would be perfect for any MMA fan for Christmas. Yeah,
like I know, God bless my mother, she doesn't know what she's buying, but every year she nearly get. I got the Bruce Buffer book, I've got Chuck Liddell, I've got Forrest Griffin, I've got Randy Couture. So, ma'am, hit me before the fall, yeah? You heard it here first. But Lee, look, listen, thanks a million. We'll share it as we're talking here. Rob, we'll have to put up the links and stuff like that. So well done. And do you have another project MMA related in the
Is this one and done, or are you coming back?
I don't know. I have some thoughts on what could come next, but we'll keep those under wraps for the moment. I'm just really focused on making this a success and hopefully getting this out there and making it good, and then we'll maybe in a few months' time or a year or so, we'll look back and see what comes next.
Hopefully in a few weeks we will have it before the fall just sitting on our screen here. I know you can see us, Lee, we can't see you. Hopefully there'll be a little book there. But yeah, well done. Hope everything goes well with it, and we look forward to seeing what happens down the line with other work MMA related. So
thanks guys, really appreciate it.
Thanks a million for taking the time, man. Have a good day, enjoy the rest of it.
Right, take it easy.
Cheers, take care. So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, and if you are watching on YouTube, you will recognise I haven't spoken to him in a while. We're not saying he's the best. We're just saying there's absolutely nobody better. Brendan Dorman, the B to the D, is back on OFT.
Woo! Let's do it, boys.
Let's do it.
Like an old school hip hop artist there. UFC 228 goes down this weekend. We got the gold on the line. It is Tyron Woodley defending his title against Darren the Gorilla Till. Let's start it there, Brendan Dorman. Who wins this fight and why?
Oh man, I think it's so 50-50. I haven't looked at the line much. The one thing that concerns me that I think should concern everyone, really, and we all know I'm a fan of Darren's, and he's a friend of the show, and he's a literal friend of the show, that I won't be rooting against him, but I won't be rooting for Tyron, and I won't be, you know what I mean? I'm not rooting for either, because I like both, because they're both friends of friends, very good friends of very good friends, right? So that aside, let's swipe that bullshit away. Now, technically, from a technical standpoint, the weight thing concerns me a little, maybe a lot. Darren missed pretty significantly last time. It wasn't a hair, you know? It wasn't a pound, and then you went, well, he could maybe shed that last pound, you know, for a title fight, et cetera, et cetera. He's a massive 170. Tyron is too, but he makes weight every time. I don't remember him ever missing weight, actually. No. Right?
No.
So, Tyron's wider, right? Darren's got obviously a taller, lankier frame based. He fights based on his frame. So does Tyron. Well, both of them. Did you guys watch the embedded or whatever it's called, the leading up to the fight thing, the countdown?
I watched a bit of it. I haven't watched the full thing yet.
I was paying attention to some of Tyron's stuff, and he's going to like a Wild Card gym, which is Freddie Roach's gym in LA, and he's training with Freddie's right hand. His name escapes me. Virgil, or I can't think of the guy's first name. Anyway, working his hands with him. He's working his Muay Thai with Duke. What I wonder is, who's he working his grappling with?
Yeah.
Because to me, he's got to win that way. He's got the power to knock out Brock Lesnar. I mean, Tyron's power is terrifying, but it's usually kind of wingy. You know, even with Lawler, that was opened up by a feint. He does well against southpaws. I mean, he's fought, Christ.
Yeah.
I think like 6 of his last 10 or something are southpaws, something like that. It's a bizarre amount almost, right?
Yeah.
But he does okay with them, so I don't think he'll have trouble figuring out what to do in that with Darren's stance. But his length and getting inside, I think you got to use your grappling or at least like threaten it, you know. And not be you can't be gun shy with Darren, and I don't think either of them can afford it, star power wise. Like we can't afford a 5-round feel out fest again. We really can't. Tyron won the belt in such spectacular fashion, right? If Darren wins it in said spectacular fashion, he's nuclear, right? If Tyron wins in spectacular fashion, I won't be surprised, but I think it'll legitimize his self-acclamation, if you will. Tyron talks about in the first person or third person, like Tyron's the best. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm the best 170 whatever of all time, I think he even says. And there's an argument for it too, I think. And I think if he wins this one, he solidified it too, right? Interesting. Striking wise, I think Tyron has more power. Obviously, it's not as refined. But Darren's not, who's like the most, I'm trying to think of the most technically sound, like Dillashaw's technically very sound as a striker. You know what I mean? He's not that. Darren's a little more wild, you know, but he's powerful and he's crazy. Sometimes crazy is good, you know? Yeah. It's an interesting little chess match. I just hope it's not too much of a chess match where everyone's calling it such.
What do you think of a lot of people I've spoke to about this? It's almost like sometimes you hear this in a lot of fights where you go, he's never fought a guy like Darren Till.
Yeah.
He's never fought a guy like Tyron Woodley. But in this case, I actually think that carries water. Like I really do. Like if you look back at the last few opponents that Woodley has fought, none of them are similar to Darren Till.
Getcha.
An aspect of this fight that I think you're going to have Darren Till walking down Tyron Woodley, trying to put Woodley on the back foot and walking him down.
I do as well. I agree with you. I do.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. I think you're right in some regards. I think Wonder Boy is not so different. He just has a different car to get to the show, if that makes sense. Yeah. His style of striking, in other words, is different. Yeah. So while his approach is a Mercedes, maybe Darren's is more like a Dodge Viper or a fucking Porsche or something. You know what I'm saying? It's more Muay Thai MMA based striking, whereas Wonder Boy's more elusive karate based. And you saw that by them canceling each other out. They're very similar.
It's I understand what you're saying. I disagree with it a bit because, like, for me, Wonder Boy is almost like a point scorer. He gets in, bang, gone. While Till will walk you down, hit you with his shots, and keep coming forward. While Wonder Boy
gets hit.
Yeah, but you know,
that's where
Scousers don't get knocked out.
Right, he's got better power and finishing ability than Wonder Boy, but he doesn't have the evasion that Wonder Boy has. And Tyron still clipped him and almost put him away. Who doesn't get hit? I mean, who's really hit Wonder Boy that well? Even a lot of people didn't think Till beat him, right? If we're being fair here. We're being just fair, objective, right? It's not about whether or not I like Till or like Wonder Boy. It's objectively what I saw was a really close, kind of really boring fight where they canceled each other out. And Till's there to get hit. I mean, he is. So I think that's where the balancing act kind of happens. They're not the same striker, and Wonder Boy is not a pressure guy. Till tends to pressure, but Tyron will duck down and use his amazing grappling if he's smart. I'd hope. Yeah. I think that's the big one, though. I don't know how good Till's going to be off his back, though. He's so long. Maybe he'll pull the Bisping versus GSP and foot to hips, elbows down. I don't know.
Yeah. You gotta think he earned a lot of his professional trade in Brazil. Like he lived in.
I know that.
Fought,
yeah,
so
you don't know what it looks like.
He's got to be versed on the mat.
Yeah, you'd have to think he's fairly decent, but I think that's the big one. I think, is Tyron Woodley going to use his grappling? And I don't know. Like, it's one of them things where Tyron Woodley...
To me, that's the fight.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Tyron Woodley, since what? What fight? What's the last fight you remember him really imposing his grappling on somebody? Yeah, I can't remember.
Wonder Boy won.
Wonder Boy... Yeah, a little bit.
And then defensive grappling Maya, but it became so, like, inevitable that it became boring, but it was impressive. Yeah, because he set a blueprint for then other people to do the same shit.
Yeah.
You know?
But a lot of those fights, and even the Thompson one fight, there was some grappling, but a lot of those fights, and the second Thompson fight, obviously, and Maya, was that Woodley likes to play up against the cage, and I don't really like that when he fights a striker. And I know, Wonder Boy.
I think it's terrible against Till. It's a terrible idea to fight like that.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, you look at the Cowboy fight, that's where Cowboy got caught when Till kind of corralled him up against the cage and landed a shot. Even the Wonder Boy fight, even though he didn't really hurt him that much, I think he clipped him, but he still dropped him up against the cage. I don't think Wonder Boy. Yeah, I don't think Wonder Boy is as good in that kind of game as Till is. I think Wonder Boy is really good at keeping guys at range, but I don't think he's really that good at getting them against the cage and really attacking there.
Like cornering footwork.
Yeah.
Like if you were to watch boxing, like the way Triple G's footwork works, right?
Yeah.
The way he corners guys. If you get a chance, anyone who's watching, watch at least the section in my Triple G breakdown of how he corners opponents. I've done it a bunch of times, but with other fighters, but he's the primary example. Of course, Lomachenko does everything well, but that has enough views. Watch the Triple G one. He's amazing at figuring out how to throw a right hand or feint it to get someone frozen and then throw his left hook. It's feints and it's footwork and angles, all the overused terms you can think of.
Yeah.
It's all of those, but it's doing them right and doing them in conjunction in an explainable kind of way.
One thing that you said, Brendan, was so of a lot of people when they're talking about Darren Till, is that he hasn't finished that many opponents. As in, you know, he fought like Bojan, he fought Herrera. And,
I didn't say that.
And no, what he said, Woodley has more power. Apologies, putting words in your mouth.
I think so, yeah.
Nicholas Dalby, when you look at these fights,
explosive power.
The 3 fights I've mentioned, he dropped all his opponents.
Yeah.
Like when you, fair enough, for me, I think it's a passes best Donald Cerrone that he finished that quickly, but it was still impressive. When you look at what Rob was saying, Woodley has backed himself up against the cage, and this is where it's like, you always do it, don't you, when you talk about Darren Till, Conor McGregor. The left hand of Darren Till is like Conor's. He coils it almost beyond where the reach is. You think you're outside of his reach, and he goes that little bit further with it. And I think that's how he ends the fight, by knocking out Tyron Woodley with a long left hand, similar to the way Conor knocked out Diego Brandao, how he put down Chad Mendes. That type of running along the cage puts him down and puts him out, and perhaps has to finish with ground and pound. But I see there was a fight share during the week, and again, it's silly because it was that long ago. Nate the Great Marquardt, when he beat Tyron Woodley in Strikeforce to win the Strikeforce title
10 years ago.
Yeah, but like, look, it's still, you know, I know they've evolved, they are different, but that's the danger that I think Darren Till brings to this fight. I really do think that he has that potential to finish, especially if Woodley plays the game with his back up against the fence. I honestly can see similar style fashion to how Conor McGregor finished them fights, along the cage with an overreaching left hand. Like overreaching is wrong. That makes it sound.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I just think
I don't disagree at all.
But that's
what I was saying. What I was saying was actual like power, bud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like actual, how much is on that from Woodley? Is how much torque does he have? More than anyone at 170. Actual punching power, but that doesn't. Yeah. Just power. Julian the Hawk Jackson. Ever heard of him?
No.
Right. He's the pound for pound most powerful puncher ever in boxing. 145, he'd sleep dudes like fading backwards, little short hooks. Some people have that dynamic power, but he wasn't Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? He wasn't. Yeah. He got hit too. He got knocked out. He lived by the sword, die by the sword, right? If Woodley can find in his sheath of swords, if you will, his grappling, he can win. If he can't, he will lose.
Wow.
To me, it's it's not calculus.
Yeah, I think Woodley
even backed up against the fence, which I agree is a terrible idea, by the way.
It works
if you
for
can
him, though.
time, you're against the fence and you're seeing enough and waiting, right? Because sometimes Till's cadence to someone like me, who's fought as an advanced striker, and I understand timing and cadence, his can be a tad predictable at times. He's really, I mean, Till is excellent, so I'm picking pepper out of shit here a little bit, but sometimes he hops with timing, right? And if someone like Woodley's working on his timing with a really good boxing trainer, he's gonna wait, heavy feet, shoot. You know, he's explosive enough to do it. Yeah. Will he? I don't know.
That's the thing. I think Woodley can knock him out because, as you said, Till does get hit. And even though Woodley does do that whole...
What if you fake the takedown, grab the single, throw the overhand
exactly,
right?
Yeah. It could be something like that. Yeah. That's what I think as well. I just don't know. It's just one of them things where we've seen Woodley doing a very, very similar game plan over the years, kind of not using his grappling. And I feel like, I don't know, sometimes you feel like they're kind of molded into that, which he's not. He's used his wrestling in the past, so he can come out and start shooting takedowns. He could start looking at his grappling, start mixing it up. But I think in the fight where he does what he done against Stephen Thompson, which I think we're not giving Till enough credit what he did against Thompson. It was a close fight, but we haven't seen many people really do that to Thompson, where they kind of just had him on his back foot, not on his own terms. Stephen Thompson doesn't mind being on his back foot, but on his own terms when he wants to counter strike. It wasn't that. It was a different type of fight. But I think if Tyron Woodley does that and he just starts backing up, I think Till might catch him. But, you know, we don't know what grappling is.
One thing I'd say as well, that I swear I'm in mind, coach, but like talking to Darren Till, you don't doubt for a second that he's going to become the champion. Like when you're talking to him, you don't think, he's busy, he's talking shite, you man. He firmly believes he's going to be crowned a champion on Saturday night. There's not, and I know a lot of fighters have that, but it's like it's just, you know, when you're talking to someone and you're all in. You know what I mean? When they're telling you, you're like, I don't doubt you. Not even the slightest do I doubt you.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a great fight. And if Woodley wins this fight, right, this will be a great fight for Woodley to come through this. Because if he wins, I think he wins by finishing Darren Till, by beating him that way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I think for Woodley, this is a great fight as a champion because he's not the most loved champion. No. We can all appreciate what he does, how he does it.
And he's one of the most solid guys.
Yeah,
he's
like
great.
That belt hasn't been funky in years.
Yeah.
170's been pretty solid as a title for years. It's one of the very few. There's no squirreliness,
like,
really.
It's like we were talking about during the week about Tyron Woodley. Would he fight Usman if Till was to fall out? He's like, no, I want a full camp to do that. And people shit it all over that. Like, if somebody else had said, like, if that was GSP who said, no, I want a full camp, people wouldn't say anything because it's GSP. Because it's Woodley, they jump all over it. It's the right
Let's use Connor instead.
Huh?
Let's use Connor instead. GSP has a lot of critics now.
Yeah, well, of course, because he's fucking washed up.
Yeah, I know. It showed against your boy.
Did you?
How's his eye doing?
He's washed up. Did you see Jesus.
What, the picture?
He needs to bring out a dieting program.
What?
He looks so lean.
Yeah, he's mad lean, yeah.
55.
He's shredded as a motherfucker.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If he's moving to 155, that title's his.
Not at all. Connor will knock him out in one.
It always comes back to this. I
don't think he'd break a sweat against Connor. I don't think he'd even sweat.
Rob, your pick. Darren Till.
Do
you know what it depends? We have to say, we were talking to Jim Edwards earlier. Big thing is,
does he make weight?
Weigh-in day.
Yeah.
Stood on the scales. How does he look?
Yeah.
How does he feel? That's a big part. So making a pick on a Monday is quite difficult.
Yeah, I reserve my judgment to make my pick officially on Friday. But I'm going to pick Darren Till.
I'm picking Darren Till.
I don't know. I just feel it's going to happen.
Like, if Till makes weight and makes weight comfortable, it looks like he does because he looks in great shape. It looks like he's not as big as he was leading into other fights. There was a lot of personal issues around his last weight. The day of weigh-in, there was a lot of stuff that happened as well that day. But I see Darren Till making weight.
But also, I will say, I wouldn't put money on it because, as you said, the lines are actually really close. I think it's like a pick 'em.
They're even. They're pick 'em.
Yeah, it's a pick 'em. I'd like a bit more money on Till. Yeah, I'd like a bit more money on that. Like, I wouldn't put a whole lot of money on Till to win. It's a close fight. Woodley is great. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, great fight.
I think it's a coin flip. I think go to my Twitter in round one. I'll tell you who I think will win. I always need to see him move around when it's that close. I don't know. He's got to make weight first too.
Yeah,
I want to see the stare down. He looks way bigger, obviously, when they do stare downs. But if Woodley's a lot smarter than I think people give him credit for.
Yeah,
very smart. He fights smart. You know,
he does great game plan.
I mean, is it sometimes a little? That's a byproduct of it. You know.
Yeah,
but
very smart.
I don't know who's going to win. I'll stick to the. If it stays standing, it's Till's fight. If grappling's involved, it's Woodley's.
Cool.
Co-main event sees Nico Matania getting beat the shit up by Valentina Shevchenko.
Jesus Christ.
Look, well done. You're a champion. Hope you enjoyed your reign. I don't see any other, unless Shevchenko just has a terrible weight cut or something and is ill that day. Gets a bad dose of something. I just don't see any way of Montano getting a win
you don't. And
I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Yeah, you don't want to disrespect, especially a champion.
But when you are a -6 underdog and you were the champion, she's 6-1, which means, Brendan, if you were to put $100 on Montano and she wins, you would win $700.
Yeah, so it'd be plus 800 or whatever.
Yeah. So, and she's the champion.
I saw our lines on it, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. This feels like Joanna, Carla Esparza, I believe.
Yeah, but even with that one, before that, I don't think people really knew what Joanna was.
No, like after.
Yeah, afterwards.
After the fight, how we felt. Like
how
everyone felt. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And
like this feels like it's going to be similar. One is a straight gangster of a chick. She's a fucking killer. She spars mostly dudes.
Yeah.
Valentina's a killer. Nico's very talented.
She's made 125 plenty as well. Shevchenko has made 125 plenty.
Her last fight was 125 against
but even in
Priscilla Carrera,
K1,
who's pretty much not very good.
I think she'll make weight easy.
Yeah, no, she makes weight. That's her natural weight class.
Question is, do we see it going past round 2?
No.
Do we see it going past round 1?
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe on Moxie.
Yeah, she's
Valentina's
tough.
like a head kick type or ground and pound to finish.
Yeah.
As I always say, there's not a lot of women that are like one-hitter quitter type power. You know, a head kick will do that for sure, but a punch,
Can't see any other way, unfortunately.
Ask her on the Rousey if Holly Holm is a one-punch finisher, one-shot finisher.
kick.
Sure is.
Kick.
The next bout there further down, we're all in agreement here. Shevchenko's winning here.
Yeah, don't correct yourself or anything.
Huh? Sorry, I did say kick. Just maybe
You
it's
said
your
punch.
maybe it's your
You did say-
shitty Wi-Fi in the United States of America.
Changing my words.
Yeah, fuck's sake. Get Trump to sort that
Punch.
shit out. Forget build a wall. Build some decent Wi-Fi, Trump. Zabit.
Needs a new raccoon for his head.
Zabit Magomedsharipov taking on Brandon Davis. Similar to the co-main event, does Brandon Davis get out of round one taking on Magomedsharipov?
He's tough.
Yeah.
He may.
Tough for his.
I think
He's
he's
another
tough.
like Kyle Bochniak type, like
Yeah.
fucking warrior.
He fought Kyle
Davis is
Bochniak
tough.
as well. He fought Kyle
They keep
Bochniak.
giving him these guys like Yair. I think was in a weird way almost an easier fight, minus the
Wow.
tricks,
Wow.
potential tricks, right? Although I don't see Zabit getting hit with any of them. I think this is a tougher fight in a way, like for him to look good, if
get
that
you.
makes sense.
Yeah, like this guy is tough. Like Bochniak, where a lot of people saw that third round with Bochniak when Zabit didn't just finish him and blow him out. You're like, he's tough. Just he got beat up for 3 rounds. Just leave it at that. This could be a similar fight. That's what it is. It could be one of them similar ones. But what I found with Davis is that first round he looked really, really good, and once he starts to fade a little bit, that technique in his hands kind of goes. These combinations in the first round are great. So the first round could be really exciting. Although I think he's just going to get countered and maybe finished. But if he stays in there, it could be really good. But yeah,
Zabit's terrifyingly good. He's one of the better prospects I can recall in my life. He looks 80 years old. he does.
He does.
He looks older than me, and I think he's half my age.
He has the
Not
physique of
literally
Jesus
half my age,
Christ.
but he looks older than me, and he's like, I'd say he's 15 years younger than me.
Did you hear what Rob said? He has the physique of Jesus Christ.
He so
It's
does.
true, though.
Like the coiffed chest hair.
there's nothing there. He's a beast, like.
Yeah, he's muscular though. But skinny
Yeah,
I know.
That wins comment of the year 2018.
Dude, that's amazing. The more I think about it, the more I see Mel Gibson.
So you would say that Brandon Davis would need a miracle here on Saturday night.
Yeah, kind of.
I just want to watch the fight. I love that fucking guy. All I was trying to say is I think he's one of the best prospects I've ever seen him.
I agree, he's phenomenal. I don't like doing this with fights where the co-main and the main, the one after the co-main were kind of like, how long are they going to last? But sometimes that is what it is.
Brandon Davis, though, as we're saying, he's tough. So does it become a part for Zabit in this fight, possibly where he's thrown him all over the cage, he's done crazy spinning attacks, hitting him with crazy elbows, and he's like, how are you still in this cage with me? Does that become a facet, possibly, of this fight?
No, because it didn't with Bochniak. I think his hand was broken and he just threw everything at him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's very true.
I'm not disagreeing just to disagree, although it does seem that way sometimes, I understand. But I'm not. I swear to you I'm not. But I know what you're saying because sometimes he's a little extra flashy when he doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Right? The flash needs substance, always. His substance is fantastic, but it's like he's a little too 70-30 flash to substance. You know, make it a little more 50-50. Stick to your jab, cross, hook, leg kick, then open up with a wheel kick.
Yeah.
Not wheel kick, spinning fucking wheel kick, somersault kick. Like, all right, we get it. Get a fucking arsenal. You know what I mean? That worries me a little bit, but other than that, no.
He is like the kid who has Street Fighter and knows all the fucking moves, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty much.
You're playing him.
He's the kid that knows the glitch in the game. You know what I mean?
You're playing him standing across
doing that little,
with Dal
little
Sim.
kick thing.
He's like, Hayuken, tiger, uppercut, tiger, Hayuken.
Throws a fireball and hits you with the punch as you try to jump over it.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I can't even get close.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, you tricked me.
He's like 6'8", fights at 145.
Yeah. So
it's awesome.
With the body of Jesus Christ. Somebody's got to make a T-shirt
That's
of that.
amazing.
Zabit
Passion of Zabit.
crucified or something.
Jesus, that's too far.
Jesus, that's too
He
far.
could come out like Chemo Verlins on the cross.
Yeah,
right?
Jesus. I stopped saying
Stop
Jesus.
saying Jesus, Rob.
Yeah,
So go. Let's get to the picks.
Yeah.
Brandon Davis round 1 KO.
Brandon Davis Spinning wheel kick to like Barboza against Terry Edom.
Yeah, he's just gonna style.
All right.
That's the finish.
Style on him.
Brendan Davis via twister, 323 into the first.
Yeah. Yeah, Magomed.
Yeah, we're all going Magomed of Sharapova here. Number one contender bout has to be at 115. Jessica Andrade taking on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. This is a good fight. It's weird because time is ticking.
Oh, he hates it.
You hate it.
Yeah, I'll explain.
You
Keep
think
on.
Karolina's going to get dominated grappling and it upsets you because she's sorry your girlfriend? Yep. But go ahead, give us your.
She's such a wonderful flower. I just want to see her okay.
You remind me of Louis C.K. when he's talking about, you know.
No, I don't.
Don't do it.
How harsh the word.
Don't do it.
Vagina is. It should be called a. It's like, you know, hey, who looked at it and thought that's a cunt? Is that the only way you could call it a cunt? It was attacking a big village. This is probably going to be beat, isn't it? Louis C.K. was back. He was in the Comedy Cellar this week, so good to see Louis C.K.'s back. Look, he asked him if it was all right. You know, that's asking for it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what he did shouldn't be in the same category as the other.
Not a chance. Anyway, so Jessica Andrade, you are worried here that she's going to absolutely ragdoll Karolina, basically.
Yeah. What? Do you guys see a path for Karolina? I just don't.
She's tough.
Her jiu-jitsu off her back potentially.
She has good strikes from the clinch. I don't see a win, but I can see where she can cause a few problems for a while until Andrade takes over, pretty much.
Andrade, remember after she fought Joanna? Like my takeaway was like, she's unknockoutable. Like she's not. Joanna hit her with clean head kicks like 16 times.
Yeah, man. She's crazy.
And she just walks forward. So what you know what I'm saying? Is Karolina much more powerful than Joanna? I don't even know if she's more powerful, let alone much more. So would it be a matter of like getting her down? Like good luck. That's hard too. Andrade is like, I don't know, man. It's almost like when you watch Cyborg fight, it almost feels like I hate saying this shit. It's a little controversial, but I don't know. One's a delicate flower to me.
And one's a nettle ready to sting you.
The weird thing about...
I mean, she's such a great fighter, but it's almost like when one has, like, God, I want to say the word, but I'm trying to use another word. One has more maybe testosterone than the other. It just seems like they're off to a bad start from the jump. How about that? Is that fair?
Naturally testosterone, yeah, sure.
You gave out to me about saying fla la 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 and the C word there, and you're letting that slide.
I'm letting everything slide here. I'm not editing
But look, are we underestimating?
No, PC.
That was PC, it's fine.
Are we underestimating Karolina? Like, she is 12-2 as a mixed martial artist, so it's not like the first time she's fought somebody that's going to impose this sort of threat.
I couldn't coach her. She's too pretty.
Yeah, I think we always underestimate Karolina. She's an excellent fighter, as you said, and the only thing I see here is that Andrade will play the game that Karolina likes, at least. She will clinch with her. She will get close so he can have... She's not going to, do a Jędrzejczyk type fight where he's going to fight at range where Karolina's not great. She's going to give her a chance, and that's where she could possibly win.
I think one thing Karolina has that's better than Joanna is her clinch work.
Yeah,
her clinch work is better.
Her clinch is savage.
Yeah.
So she beat Rose, right?
Yeah, all in the clinch.
With the clinch.
Yeah, all in the clinch, yeah.
So if Andrade does play that game, that's going to come into it. But at the same time, Brendan...
It's super technical, but is it strong enough?
Yeah, I can see Andrade walking through it.
Yeah.
I can see her walking through it to get to where she wants.
I wonder if it was 5 rounds. I'm not sure what Andrade's gas tank is like. It seems to be really good. I think she had one 5-round fight. It was the title fight. That was 5 rounds, wasn't it?
Yeah. I went all 5.
Yeah, and she looked grand. Like, she looked good. She didn't really slow down too much. But I'd be interested to see if it was 5 rounds because Karolina's gas tank is pretty good. So maybe she could pick up some rounds late. But with 3 rounds, I think Andrade just... I think she just gets a decision.
Yeah, I agree.
People like that are explosive tend to be more favored in the 3 rounds rather than 5. I agree with that.
Yeah. It's a good fight, though.
I mean, the technical clinch, like, is it Malapet Senchai good? You know, she's amazing in the clinch. One of the better in all of MMA. but is it that good? Is it so good that she could get me with it? No. No fucking way. I'm a grown man. I could just, all I need to grab is her wrist.
Sure,
you know what I mean? It's something that, thanks guys.
That's a great clip.
Yeah.
I'm a grown man.
I'm a grown ass man. I pay for this house in cash money. Yeah. So my point being is that at some point, strength fucking matters quite a bit. And I just feel like Andrade's like, she's known for that slamming, even from angles, she has no business slamming the other person. So if in close is where you plan on winning the game, because Joanna won it by long ass jabs and long ass teeps and long kicks. Like everything was long. Do you really want to stay, almost chest to chest with her? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate the fight because I like Carolina.
I love the fight. I think it's a great fight. I'm gonna go with Andrade.
It's a wonderful fight.
Yeah.
I'm playing my part.
Andrade decision.
Yeah, I'd see the same. Yeah. I see her grinding it out and getting it through that way. Yeah. We got to move on because time is the essence. Nico Price taking on Abdul Alhassan.
I like it.
It's 12-1 against
really
9-1. So two really good prospects.
Really good prospects. Yeah, I like Price in this one. He's kind of a weird, wild striker. But also, if you watch back and watch that Joban fight, remember the Joban fight where he caught him with a counter off the Alan Joban? Gorgeous. Caught him with a counter off that kind of sloppy leg kick.
Yeah.
So he does have good striking. Al Hassan would like to keep us on the feet because he's a very powerful striker. But also, Nico Price on the floor is really, really good. Great submissions. I think Nico Price wins this one, but two really good prospects. I'm going to go with Nico Price by a submission of some sort.
Brendan.
Hey, what's do you guys have Nico Price's record in front of you?
12-1.
12-1.
Yeah, a lot of people are really.
Remember, he won his last fight from the bottom.
Yeah,
hammer fist from the bottom.
Yeah, he's Mr. Creative.
Yeah, he's called the
he's
hybrid.
The one that he triangulated his legs and then he extended his foot up like you would in a triangle,
Yeah.
Against the guy's face and then hammer fisted from the bottom.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. And I think a lot of people missed it at first, and then everyone, of course, knew what happened. So I didn't even bother breaking that down. I would have if everyone didn't catch it after. Someone like Luke Thomas, I think, talked about it, and then everyone knew it as fact. It's like everything else,
Yeah.
I knew the whole time. But it was another creative win for him. That kid's really good, man. He's tenacious.
Yeah.
He just comes up with really interesting shit. Like, I've never seen that before.
No.
Trapping someone's head with your foot off a triangulated leg over a shoulder. It's almost like a failed omoplata into hammer fists.
It was so impressive that Tapology actually gave it credit on the thing. Like, not the way usually they go, like, win punches round 1. They actually said, win hammer fist from the bottom position round 2.
# fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a once only. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Wasn't there one more? Like, recently, they were like close together.
Like that.
No, not like that. Not like that. But it was from the bottom. I think it was more from guard. He just fucking.
I don't know.
No. Anyway, I go with Price.
Yeah, I'm going with Price as well.
Kevin Randleman, but he didn't knock him out.
Finish,
No, I agree. I got Nico Price there as well. He's beat some good guys as well. The likes of Brandon Thatch, Alan Joban, Randy Brown. So I think he's fought like the better guys.
Thatch.
So yeah.
Joban's very good, man.
Yeah, and he knocked him out. Finished him with strikes.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yep.
Again, time is the essence. So there's a couple of fights that jump out. One I want to look at is Aljamain Sterling against Cody Stamann, and the reason being is Cody Stamann is this guy that has flown under the radar.
Somehow.
Yeah, and he's
beaten a lot of good guys.
He's beaten a lot of guys. Like, he last beat Brian Caraway. He's on a 10-fight win streak. The likes of Tom Duke and they were sort of giving him the hype guys, weren't they?
Yeah, and
he keep beating them. So this is a big fight against a very dangerous Aljamain Sterling. Of course, both former guests of the show. So that'd be my undercard pick. But Rob, I know there's plenty on the card that you'd probably want to jump
Jimmy Rivera, John Dodson is a great fight at 135. I like John Dodson back at 35. That's a hell of a fight. Jimmy Rivera needs a win. He had that really disappointing loss in his last one, but needs a win. Carla Esparza, Tatiana Suarez. A lot of people are very high on Tatiana Suarez. Carla Esparza looked good in her last one after a lot of people kind of wrote her off out of the division. Looked good, but I think Suarez is.
Do you know it's going to be a fun fight, and it's going to be a cracking. It's going to be a bloodbath. Diego Sanchez, Craig White. I just think that has the potential because Diego's going to walk in and go, yeah, let's go, and Craig White will be all too.
Wait, who's Diego got?
Craig White, former Cage Warriors fighter. He came in a short notice against Neil Magny there last time. For his UFC debut.
I can't picture him.
Yeah, so it's at
one. Into some scraps.
It's at 170, so it's he will happily engage.
Diego's at 170 again.
Yeah.
Didn't he just fight at 145?
That's Diego Sanchez for you. It's
155 or something.
Is
I don't know.
he the
That's-
nightmare?
that's
Is he the nightmare this week, or is he? What did he call himself? The nightmare, and then
He's
the
dream
dream.
now, man.
Lionheart.
The dream.
The dream, Lionheart. So he's on a
He
3-fight
he fought a welterweight last against Matt Brown. Lost.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matt Brown.
Remember
put him in
Matt
fucking
Brown
Neptune.
deck chaired him.
Yeah, and then before that, Aloy
Yeah,
Quinta. Yeah, Aloy Quinta.
Remember the
finished him as
UFC fucked up. Remember you were watching it, and I went to the
Al
press, an
slapped
empty
it.
press room. Remember
well. Oh
that?
yeah, yeah.
See, just as Matt Brown was closing the distance, it went to a different camera,
Yeah.
and it was like an empty press room.
Yeah.
And then when you came back, Diego Sanchez was lying unconscious on the ground, and you're going, "What the shit just happened?"
Bush
and
league.
then John Anik in his iron jeans turned around and said, "We'll try have some pictures of the finish." And you're going, "We want fucking video content." Now they did have it, but just somebody obviously in the truck or something made it. Said camera
You
3.
assume someone got fired for that.
Somebody
Oh,
went,
yeah.
"Yo, camera 3," and it was like just some guy in the press room setting up chairs.
Yeah, Dana bleeding.
Yeah.
He's buried
That's
in the
a
desert.
that's a serious fuck up. Like
Yeah.
that's not a kind of fuck up.
Ah, and it was a finish and a half. It was unbelievable.
I think Diego's time is about to.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
he is,
yes.
and he's falling out with Cowboy as well. Big thing. A lot of people were sort of shitting on this card. They were saying it's not a very exciting card. I seen on a forum, one of these MMA groups. Someone went, "I don't think this is, apart from the Woodley Till fight, I think this is a really
like it.
underselling card, and there's not many great fights."
Well, the
on
only
it."
thing is,
I disagree.
No, I like it, but the only thing is, as we went through it, I more and more think, oh, this seems like a mismatch. Oh, this seems like a mismatch. That's the only thing.
I think
On the main card, on the main card.
Co-main and Zabit's fight.
That's 2 out of 5 where
Yeah,
it's
but
possibly a
I think
mismatch.
further down as well. Like I really think the undercard has some great fights.
Yeah,
on
no, it is.
Like Jim
I
Miller.
think-
When's Jim Miller ever in a bad fight?
Yeah,
Do you know what I
true.
mean?
Never.
Yeah.
Diego Sanchez. Even if he's on the bad end of it, when's he in a bad fight?
Yeah, it's true, but they're...
Rivera Dotson. That's going to be an
That's a
absolute
great fight.
farm.
That should be on the
Andrew
main card.
Sterling, Cody Stamen. I reckon their grappling's going to cancel each other
But
out.
those four in the 135 landscape,
Yeah,
fights.
it's great.
Great fights.
Well done.
I'm rooting for Aljo. Aljo's my homie. I watched him at Pads the other day, and I'm like, man, I gotta get back down there. I gotta train with him again. I just see some things I want, because grappling wise, he's fucking
class.
awesome.
Yeah, he's deadly.
Aljo's grappling is way undersold.
Doesn't use it a whole lot anymore.
Very, very good, but his striking, he's got great power, and he's a good striker, but I think he can be an excellent striker. I just want like a month with him. I don't know, it's not that far. Call
Marlon
I know
Royce
you're
caught him with the knee coming in, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He sorta-
and then he went comatose.
Yeah, he
ugh.
sort of dived in on the
Yeah.
takedown, didn't he? And he got absolutely Marlon Royce.
Wait, you mean Miraz?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things that happens.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
just
you
got
just
caught
get
with
caught.
that.
Just
Yeah.
get caught.
It
Timed
happens.
and
You
boom.
get caught. Yeah,
I was like,
absolutely.
get on with it.
But yeah, Brendan, as always, pleasure talking to you. We've been out and you haven't, Tuesdays out for the live stuff isn't great for you, but great to have you back on the show,
Yeah.
my man. And we'll talk next week when we're talking about possible outcomes of the fights.
Great to be back as always, and stay out of Chicopee.
Stay out of Chicopee. And if you haven't by now, and I don't know why you wouldn't, if you haven't, go and just type in
Yes.
Brendan Dorman in
Check him
YouTube and follow him. And if you really want to see him argue
Links
with
in the
people,
description.
do the exact same thing on Twitter, because boy does he light people up on Twitter. Brendan, absolute pleasure, my man.
Christmas trees. Thank you. I'm working on my Conor versus Khabib series. No, I just started it.
Awesome.
So I should have my Conor's grappling video, and it's more positive, honestly, than anything. Almost done. I gotta put some voice to it.
Sweet. Check that out.
All
Cheers,
right.
Brendan.
Brendan Dorman, you the man. Talk soon.
All right, you are too. Love you guys.
Peace.
Good.
Said I am too,
There he
not
goes.
you, Rob. Brendan likes me more. Well, Rob, that was a cracker.
Oh, Jesus.
Episode 119, back in the studio. It was a joy. It was a joy because we were joined by Jim Edwards. We were joined by Lee Daly, and we were joined by Brendan Dorman. So, lads, thanks a million for coming on to Obviously Fight Talk and welcome us back to the studio. I've been away on holidays, and you miss it when you're away, don't you?
You missed it away. Can I say something as well? We recorded something today. We recorded a piece with Daniel Mulvahedi and Sam Amidi, 2 referees, about some horrible stoppages that happened during the week. We want to give it its own time. We're going to release this separate. It should be out on Wednesday. So today is Tuesday. As you know, if you're listening to it on a Tuesday, check it out on Wednesday on the YouTube channel.
And how are you guys enjoying all the footage? We're recording a long show and we're putting out snippets. We start doing snippets back in the day, and then we stopped.
Yeah.
But we're back in the snippet land, and people seem to be liking snippets.
Yeah.
It's
a weird word, isn't it?
Fun
Yeah,
word to say, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
Do you know what else was fun, Rob? Episode 119. If you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, share, do it all. We appreciate every bit of it. We love every listener. Yes, man, I'm talking to you. We love every listener. But yeah, check out Rob. Rob will be back doing live chats on Thursday this week.
That's the official day now.
So good day as well. No Champions League football. People will listen.
Yeah.
So dive in on the chats. Do you know who's joining you this week?
Jason is.
Jason from MMA on Point is back.
Well done.
But yeah, pleasure. Great show. Jim, cheers. Lee, cheers. Brendan, your sound. You've been sound. Thanks for listening. See us all again next year.